Hello everybody. I know it's been a while since I've made a video, and I've actually been planning on making an update on quite a few things, but I decided I'd do this video to kind of edge myself back into the uploading process, since I haven't been making so many videos lately. I guess it's easy to make, and you know, thought I'd make an update on it. If you're wondering what all the noise is, my brother here is trying to fix a lawn tractor, so
too cold outside.
Yeah, just ignore that as best you can. Okay, so I can't exactly remember what content I've mentioned in this video, in my recent videos that is, towards this computer, but I'm pretty sure I haven't really talked about it a whole lot in the past while. And I think in this video I'm just going to go ahead and kind of give a general history of this computer. Not that I'm going to go into that much in depth, but I am going to kind of just talk about kind of, you know, when I built it and what's been through it and what I've done with it and stuff, since I haven't really talked about this thing too much. My older videos document this. I actually have videos from 2009 on this computer, but in mid-2009, right before I turned 13, I started playing out this computer, and I had $560 to spend right off the bat. And I planned out the computer, excluding the monitor and everything. I planned out this computer for $850. My dad paid about $300 of it. And I bought the parts in June of 2009, but over a 1 month process. But by the time I got it all pieced together in like July 2009, I found out that the motherboard was dead. And since I bought the parts, by the way, this is a bad idea. Since I bought the parts over a 1 month period, by the time I had the final part bought and put in this thing, the motherboard warranty on Newegg had expired. So I found out the motherboard was bad through some troubleshooting, and I was actually wrong in quite a few diagnoses, whatever, of what exactly was wrong with it. A couple of times I thought lightning destroyed it, a couple of times I thought this or that went bad, but the truth of the matter was the motherboard was dead. So I wanted to get a new motherboard. I wanted to call up Intel and get an RMA, but me being a 13-year-old wasn't really going to be taken seriously by Intel, because I was just a 13-year-old kid, and I wanted my dad to help me, but he didn't really get around to it. And for maybe 8 months, I was bugging him to help me call Intel, and he eventually offered for me to buy a new motherboard. He said he'd pay for half of it if I just bought a new motherboard, so I did that. And I think in early mid-2010 I got this thing finally working. Parts were a little bit outdated at the time, but it worked fine. And I have made some hardware upgrades to this thing in the past while, and have done some things with it here and there. So, more history. In January of 2012-ish, I bought a GTX 560 for this thing to upgrade from the NVIDIA GeForce 9800 GTX Plus. It was a little bottlenecked, although that card's a little bit old. A Core 2 Duo 3.16 GHz does kind of bottleneck that, along with 4 GB of RAM, which is running at 1066 MHz because of some incompatibility issues. In fact, I have other DDR3 RAM, and whenever I test it out with this thing, it refuses to work, so I'm lucky I get the RAM to work at all. I made that upgrade. And at one point, this is a test, I got a second NVIDIA GeForce 9800 GTX Plus. I did not buy it. I found it because someone threw it out. And I went ahead and tried to get SLI working, but it ends up SLI with the 9800 GTX Plus isn't so friendly with Windows 7, so that failed. I was making a video on documenting that process, but I never uploaded it because it wasn't interesting enough. So I never uploaded that. In fact, this video is probably very long and drony. But yeah, and yeah, and about late last year, maybe August, I got a new CPU for it. I found an Intel Q6600 Core 2 Quad 2.4 GHz from 2007 or 2008 for this thing. And I overclocked it to about 2.8 GHz and put it in here. Reliably, but I decided that I wanted a better CPU, so I sold the Q6600 for $50, And it was a little bit older. It had 1066 megahertz FSB and an 8 megabyte L2 cache and stuff. So I upgraded to a better Core 2 quad of 2.83 gigahertz with a 1333 megahertz FSB and 12 megabyte L2 cache and all that. So it was better. And I overclocked it to 3.4 gigahertz, but I was having some little lockups and other odd issues like that. Rarely, but still they were occurring every now and then. So I decided that I was going to downclock the CPU. So I downclocked it to 3.25 gigahertz, and I have not had a single problem with this thing since then. So that's good. And at one point, I actually had a different heatsink in here. I actually found some throughout, and I had to take the side fan out to fit it in there. But decided at one point that this Arctic 7 would work absolutely fine. So I put the Arctic 7 back in here and put the side fan back on. But it seems that since putting the CPU in here and overclocking it, the rear panel audio refuses to work properly. So I'm using the side panel. It seems to work fine, doesn't really get in my way. And I don't use this computer much, so it's not really worth spending that much time troubleshooting it to try to get the rear panel audio to work. I did spend quite a bit of time troubleshooting it. I spent hours messing around with drivers and stuff and trying to get things to work. But I couldn't get it to work, so I'm just going to keep it the way it is. And but at the same time I upgraded the CPU, I also upgraded the hard drive. I found a 500 gigabyte hard drive in an HP Media Center M8000 I got. Now I popped it in here and upgraded to that about 6 months ago, maybe 5, I don't know. And I still have the 320 in here with the Windows installation still on it, which obviously it doesn't boot to, just in case I want any files off that. So that's pretty much it, I guess. I haven't done a whole lot with this thing. In fact, I barely ever use it. I maybe start it up maybe 2 or 3 times a month to use for a little while. I'm out here working on computers and stuff, which I haven't been doing that much recently, so that kind of explains why I haven't made so many computer videos lately. What else is there to be said? I think there's a bunch of Steam updates I have to download. This is always a bit of a nuisance. Hold on. Yeah, look at all those updates. I have quite a few games here, but updates take forever to download. In fact, I came out here kind of to play Team Fortress 2, but looks like that's going to take an awful long time to download. I don't know how much of an update there is to download, but it's probably going to be pretty big. So that's besides the point. Oh, and by the way, I got this keyboard about how long ago? About 6-7 months ago, maybe. It was a real bargain. It was like 20-25 bucks off Amazon, I think it was. Yeah, it's backlit. Looks pretty nice. The keys are a little cheap feeling. The B key kind of gets stuck a little bit, so it seems to be pretty much fine now. But you know, it's a good keyboard, I guess. And yeah, I bought that mouse pad probably about a year ago for this thing. But I think I'm forgetting to say something. And these front panel temperature sensors never really work properly. I could never really figure out how to use them. I tried putting the temperature sensor to the CPU in between the CPU and the heatsink at one point, like 3 years ago, and it just broke the sensor. So that's why it says ER for error. And the other sensors aren't hooked up, so that's why I say like 21 and 22, which is not correct. But I don't even look at that anyway. So I guess that's all the info I have to express on this. This is probably a very long-winded, uninteresting video, but I'm sure some of you watch it all the way through at least. But I just thought I'd give a not-so-quick update on this thing, I guess, since I haven't really made any videos on it. So that's going to be all for now, I guess. And actually, at one point, there was a very bad whirring sound coming from the inside of this thing. And I thought it was the power supply, but it ends up it was some cheap, crappy PCI fan cooler I had installed in this thing, so I took that out. But at any rate, that's going to be all for now. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned. I have some other videos coming, some other update videos, probably on my 2012 gaming PC, as well as my computer business and all that. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.